Welcome to Sunshine Cathedral's Queer God Squad. It's Friday, July 12th, 2024. I'm Reverend Dr. Darrell Watkins, the senior minister here at Sunshine Cathedral. Faith and religion can be complicated for the LGBTQ+ community. Surveys show that evangelical faith is the justification for the greatest attacks on the LGBTQ+ community.
I am Reverend Kevin Tisdall, the Minister of Education. The Queer God Squad is going to explore our religious community. Let's explore the big news of the day and what it means to you.
I am Reverend Dr. Ann Atwell, the Minister of Connections. This is live, and then we are available on demand. If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Join the conversation on your favorite streaming platform and social media.
At Sunshine Cathedral, we're here to tell you that you are God's miracle, not God's mistake.
This is the Sunshine Cathedral perspective. Hollywood United Methodist Church celebrates inclusion and support for LGBTQIA+ community. If you've ever traveled south into Hollywood, California on the 101 freeway, navigating towards the Hollywood Bowl and Highland Avenue, you will encounter the iconic Gothic bell tower of the Hollywood United Methodist Church on your right. Established in 1930 amid Hollywood's rapid expansion, the church served as a sanctuary of hope since its earliest congregants began organizing in 1909. According to Associate Pastor Devon Jones with the LGBTQ Nation, the church has been supporting LGBTQ+ families for decades, especially back in the early 1990s during the AIDS crisis, when people were being turned away from family and friends. Soon began the tradition of hanging two huge red ribbons on the bell tower. This gesture resonated deeply within the LGBTQ+ community, affirming love and acceptance during challenging times. Each year, Hollywood United Methodist Church also participates in the LA Pride Parade, which is located just steps away from its doors. Recently, they commemorated 30 years since the installation of the red ribbons with a joyous celebration, including a double-decker Hollywood tour bus adorned with messages of pride and affirmation. Support and solidarity like this keep the community together and offer a safe environment for each of its members. Through Sunshine Cathedral and Queer God Squad, we strive to create and nurture the same sense of belonging within the LGBTQ+ community of South Florida. Our different programs and initiatives are designed to help the community. You can learn more about these programs at our website, sunshinecathedral.org. Yay! It gives me hope when I read stories like this. You know, sometimes we wonder, or I wonder, I'm speaking only for myself, I wonder sometimes if Sunshine Cathedral is the only place that's doing what we do. And that can be a bit overwhelming. But in Hollywood, California, it's really appropriate, I think, that they have a church like that, because Hollywood tends to get so many people from our community that go there to live, California and Hollywood, the arts, theater, acting, that kind of thing. But something that also kind of jumped out at me was the United Methodist Church and everything that they have been through recently with including people who are part of the LGBTQ community as clergy, as leaders in their congregation. I love seeing that it is a United Methodist Church that has this outreach.
Yeah. And, I mean, John Wesley, Charles too, but John Wesley was very socially engaged. And that was part of his understanding of the gospel. So it's very fitting when Methodists demonstrate that, you know, right. they show that for us. I was noticing the AIDS ribbons, and for the first time, and I was around for the birth of the AIDS ribbon, you know what I mean? But for the first time, I noticed that if it were on its side, it'd be an ichthus, which is an ancient Christian symbol, older than the cross even, as a Christian identifying symbol. When Christians were closeted, when the Jesus movement was closeted, and two people would be walking with a stick, and one would do one little curve, and the other one finish it and make the fish, and that's how they knew they were safe together. And it reminded me of the hanky codes and the coded language and all the things that queers had to go through in the 70s and 80s. And so that just was a stunning thing to see. And I'm wondering if it doesn't you might not even know those stories. But if it still doesn't ring somehow subconsciously with people, this is a safe place, not only because they're caring about AIDS, and not only because, but there's just this ancient symbology that means we're safe together, and not everyone gets us, but we're who we are, and we're safe together. I really thought that was amazing to see that. And it also reminded me of their northern counterpart, Glide Memorial Methodist Church in San Francisco, that was also very out there, not only gay inclusive and concerned about AIDS, but also super concerned with the homeless and the tenderloin. And so Northern California, Southern California, it's these amazing Methodist churches sort of leading that way of inclusion. I just want to give a shout out also, not only to these two great churches, but there's All Saints in Pasadena, an Episcopal church. There's Middle Collegiate Church in New York. There's Foundry in Washington, D.C., also a Methodist church. And then, of course, there are the historic queer movements like Metropolitan Community Churches. And there's the founding church there in Los Angeles. The TFAM, the Fellowship of Affirming Ministries, which is gay and lesbian, trans, inclusive, all of that. And then, of course, the Unity Fellowship we mentioned on another show, started by Carl Bean, and is still around. So kudos to Hollywood Methodist. I just want to let you know there's more. So maybe you don't live in Hollywood, but there may be something close to you. And if there's not, Sunshine Cathedral is in the ether. It's in the interwebs, and you can join us anytime you want to, day or night, no charge. If you have an internet connection, you have access to the Sunshine Cathedral.
People sometimes think that this whole queer movement in churches is something new. The story today tells us, no.
It's been around.
This goes back a long time, and it's always nice to know that it's growing, not shrinking. It's difficult to get queer people to believe that they can go to a church that will affirm everything about them, because for so long there were so few churches, but those few churches are growing and growing and growing in number in places that you wouldn't expect. So I think it's a wonderful thing that we have these grandparents, so to speak, of queer religion and queer theology that allow us to look at the Bible, to look at spiritual passages in a whole new way, where we can legitimately see ourselves in the story. Because that was always the catch. Well, you're not in there. No, if you look, and you don't have to look hard. If you look, you will see that the queer nation has always been a part of a religious conversation. So, like you say, kudos to all of those churches that led the way, and kudos to those who are following. And folk, find your place within your own spiritual leaning, Muslim, Jewish.
There are other ones.
You're
right.
Did you know that there are other ones? There are Hindu,
Yes,
Baha'i. There are so many different religions today where people are coming out and saying, I'm going to be my true self, and I'm going to express my spiritual self. So I think it's a wonderful thing. Yay.
I'm not, the places that are tolerant and kind, that's not good enough for me.
No.
And the places that are affirming, which at first sounds really exciting, but if it's affirming without trying to walk in my shoes, without celebrating all of who I am and all the ways that I am divinely different, then it's still not good enough for me. So I need something where I get to be just all of me all the time, where I get to use my queer lens, my queer life experience to filter everything, to understand and practice my faith. So I can't go anything short of just full on queer. And if it hadn't been for people practicing tolerance, we wouldn't have got to affirming. And if we hadn't had people being affirming, we wouldn't have gotten to queer. So something's not good enough for me, but I wouldn't have what's good enough for me if other people hadn't done what they had done. So wherever you are, maybe you were not as on fire and in your face and in the street as somebody else, but whatever you are doing might be part of an equation that does lead to the world-changing revolution. So wherever you are, be that. and you may go on to something else. But wherever you are, be that, and you're part of the solution.
Right, right. Even particularly now, in the political climate that we have right now, it is really, really important, exceptionally important, that churches, that people be open and affirming is great, welcoming and celebrating.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I love that. Be welcoming and celebrating. Let people know that you're there. Speak your truth. Affirm yourself. Don't let anybody tell you anything different.
Yay.
Well, that's today with the Queer God Squad. We want to thank you for joining us. We're daily at 3 p.m. to have some fun and to discuss what our LGBTQ plus community is talking about.
Sunshine Cathedral is the world's largest progressive queer church. Progressive, queer, and God are words that naturally should go together. And we are all in this together. Remember that.
You are God's miracle, not God's mistake. Until next time, we are the Queer God Squad. Goodbye.